What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Scramble podcast presented by Old City Sports Network, brought to you by Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company. I told Tyler before the show I was going to mix it up with how we did that. But I'm your host, Chet. We got co-host Tyler, other co-host Jacob. Wade was taking care of some work stuff because we had another recording earlier today with a special guest. I guess we can preview it a little bit. Goodness gracious, Futch. Your phone's going crazy.
That was Wade.
That's just like blew my eardrum. Golly. Sorry about that, listeners. But yeah, we had a little special guest that'll be released. I think we're planning on Wednesday. We can preview it. We have Logan Tanner, former Mississippi State catcher, now catcher in the Cincinnati Reds organization. I really enjoyed that conversation, guys, getting to know a little bit more about him and one of our rivals while we were in college. So it was fun time chatting up and learning about life on the road and single A and just what he likes to do during his spare time, like play golf, like all of us. You think about it, all these professional athletes, they're just regular people. They like to kill themselves on the golf course. So I know, Futch, have you been killing yourself on the golf course lately, or has it been all work and no play?
All work and no play lately. Yeah, I don't know what a golf club is anymore. I feel like I'd start swinging right-handed now if I went out there. So
hey, there might be some good for you in case you're getting like a tight little lie. You could swap hands and chip it on there. I was telling Tyler, I know you've been practicing. You're getting ready for the whack part 2, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting for the next whack, I guess. I mean, I really don't have anything planned for golf-wise. I'm not like Jacob's mindset where I'm trying to get on to the Sanderson Farm Open for next year. I'm just over here, enjoying the new PGA Tour game that came out. It's a really good game so far, but I must tell you, the chipping and putting, I swear, it is the most difficult thing on planet Earth to do. Like last year, like in 2021, the 2K21 game, you get on the fringe and it's automatic chip from there. Now this game, it's like your ball, you chip it and then you can be on the other side of the green. But it's an overall really good game though.
First round I played on that game, I drove it into the bunker. It took me 6 tries to get out of it. I was like, what is going on? I was like, I'm playing virtual golf.
It's like real life.
I should be better. God, it was so annoying.
You really are playing like your real life character.
Yeah.
At least it's realistic now.
Yeah, I guess so. I played a little bit on Friday, played with some guys. It's rough, man. Short game is not good. Everything else is looking good, but I was 3-putting. I was lipping out. I mean, I was so frustrated. I ended up shooting a cool 100. I was like, man, I can't remember the last time I shot 100. Shot a 54 on the front 9. That's it's pretty rough. But cleaned it up on the back 9. Shot a 46. Still not great, but better than a 54. But it hasn't been a good few weeks for my golf game. I gotta get back out there and practice some so we can take y'all down in our next whack. We'll have to. Should we do it in Texas again, or y'all want to do it in Louisiana? What are we thinking here?
We get the home turf.
Louisiana.
Okay, we're doing Louisiana. We're gonna go back home to Mississippi and do it.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I'm thinking Louisiana. I don't know. There's some good middle ground there.
Do TPC.
We'll get Wade to call up like Country Club of Baton Rouge and have them run out the.
Let's just go to
TPC,
Louisiana.
Okay. We'll see if we can get on there.
I mean, it's honestly not that bad of a price. Jacob and I were going to do it, but then
it wasn't bad at all.
To go to
if we did it this time of year, it's in the off season, so
might not be a bad gig. We'll see if we record it this time. I think that was throwing off our game. We didn't play as well. Maybe I'll get a GoPro like you have, and we'll just let it like live stream, just like full blown go.
Yeah,
and we'll see how that works. But they had got the Zozo this weekend over in Japan. I can't remember the name of the guy. I didn't really watch it. I could pull up who won it. I do know that it was his first time winning in like over 1,500 days. And as soon as I see the name, I'm going to kick myself for not remembering off the top of my head. It was Keegan
Bradley?
Keegan Bradley won. He FaceTimes his wife on the green. He's crying. She's crying. The kids are screaming in the background because obviously he's in Japan. He didn't bring the whole family, but it was just a feel-good moment. I didn't catch any of the coverage because it was at like 1 o'clock in the morning here in the U.S., so it is what it is. But that's our little golf talk. I had to see what y'all were doing to prepare for our next whack.
Hey, props to Keegan Bradley though, because that guy's like, he's such a mental headache for everybody that he's paired with. Like the guy, especially in match play events, he can get inside your head and just tear you to pieces. And he's one of those guys. He's like, he sticks up for the tour and he's not afraid to call somebody out. Like him and Ian Poulter absolutely hate each other.
I think a lot of people hate Ian Poulter right now.
Yeah. And I feel like Keegan Bradley kind of sticks up for the common person there on tour, and he's not a big star, but he's won a couple of tournaments, and he's on the tour, and he stayed on the tour for quite a while. But I think he's due. I mean, he's due for some wins, kind of like how Tony Finau was. But I mean, Keegan Bradley's been on tour longer, one of the longest guys on tour that with the least amount of wins. But good to see him finally win one. Too bad it's in Japan. I mean, wish it was here in the States, but it's a win to win.
Well, people were talking about trying to like shorten the tour season against all the live stuff. And they were talking about taking away this fall golf. Well, if you take away that, it takes away the chance for guys like Keegan Bradley or up and coming golfers to actually like get a win or play really good and get some FedEx Cup points, because the top golfers aren't playing right now. And not to like diss on Keegan Bradley, but yeah, he's obviously not top 25 in the world. When you get all those guys in there, it makes it exponentially harder. So it's nice to see that they kind of get, I guess, a level playing field, you could say.
Yeah. I mean, Tiger won that event a number of years ago, and that was kind of his big comeback.
Yeah, in 2019 when he won the Masters, that was the first thing he won, was the Zozo Classic.
Yeah, that was his big comeback win, and that was his kind of, I think, momentum building win, and that was first event of the year, one of the first events of the year, because it's kind of hard to gauge when the PGA Tour season ends and when it starts. I mean,
there's like a week of no golf, and then it starts again.
Obviously the Tour Championship is the last week, but they only have like 1 to 2 weeks off, and they're right back into it. I hate to say it, but I wish there was more of downtime in between the end of the season and the start of next, because I can never tell when it starts again. Because normally you would think, like any other major sport, hey, they're going to have an off season for 2-3 months, and then they'll get back to it. I mean, like baseball, basketball, football, all of the above. And golf is something different where it's all the time, it's going. And I think it's going to be interesting to see when the calendar rolls around to January. Golf gets very interesting. And some guys that don't normally win when we get to fall time are there competing in January, February, March. And it gets really interesting, and wins pick up depending on where they play. A lot of times they go out west though. So
yeah, they get that California swing, and you get to hear some names that you don't normally hear. Speaking of a name that you haven't heard win in a while, we're going to talk about Tyler's favorite golf league, the Live Golf Tour. Brooks Koepka chips in for birdie on the third playoff hole to win his first Live Golf match. So I know Tyler's a huge fan of Live Golf. He was probably watching it, the whole thing, streaming it. It was over there in Saudi Arabia back in, I guess that's home field advantage for Live Golf now. But there's some stuff going on. They're trying to get some world ranking points. I think they actually got it accepted because they partnered up with a small tour. So we'll see how this plays out next year. I mean, I highly doubt everybody's calling like, oh, we'll just like PGA Tour, Live Golf, just partner with them and go forward. That's not going to happen. Monahan has set a precedent that he wants nothing to do with these guys, especially the whole lawsuit. A lot of them pulled their names off the lawsuit, Phil Mickelson being one of them. And I heard/read that it's, he's got some backhand dealings that he probably doesn't want subpoenaed in open court. So if he's not on the lawsuit, then they can't subpoena him. But don't come after me because I'm not a lawyer. So I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not. But that's just what I heard. So some interesting things to see how it plays out. I mean, Futch, have you gotten a call from Live Golf yet? I know they're probably watching you, wanting you to come play for them.
No, I think Live Golf is going to pass on me for a very long time. I don't want any part of Live Golf. I don't think it's it's going to turn into a law scandal, I think, in the long run. Kind of like anything else small that tries to combat anything that's been there for a very long time. And it was just run by somebody, Greg Norman, who just had a bad taste in his mouth because the PGA Tour told him, sorry, you can't come to a Champions dinner because of blah, 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 blah.
He's got a grudge now, and now his entire business model for Live Golf is to drive the PGA Tour into the ground. So.
Sure. And there's so much more money. I mean, it might look like because of the huge margins that are coming out of Live that Live has more money, but I promise you the PGA Tour has more money overall. I mean, at the end of the day, all these sponsorships from these major companies, everything adds up for the tour, and that's where a lot of the money is generated. All of the money. I mean, the PGA Tour doesn't keep much money at all. All that purse money is generally driven by sponsorships, and that. I mean, there's probably in one tournament, there's one main sponsor. I mean, you look at Riviera, Genesis Invitational, sure, Genesis is the main sponsor of it, but there's also 30 to 40 other sponsors that are throwing in however much to get their stuff all over the place, at the event that people never see unless you're there. So I think it's good I think the tour needs to stay under the radar. I think it's one of those things where Monahan doesn't need to make it too public about what's going on. Let Live drive themselves into the ground kind of thing. And I think that's what the tour needs to do, just stay under the radar and keep it quiet.
Yeah, it'll all work itself out in the end. And you said sponsors. So I said at the beginning of the show, Golf Talk, Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company. We'll make them the sponsors for our terrible golf talk and our PGA Tour news. Maybe they'll sponsor us to get better at golf, and we'll end up being on the PGA Tour one day. Probably not. Fletcher's got the best shot at it. We'll see what happens. But you're down here in Houston, maybe next month, checking out the Cadence Bank Houston Open that's played, I think, middle of November over at Memorial Hermann Park. You can stop at Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company, get you some nice brews, some nice views. You can try the Wake and Bake. Next time y'all are in Houston, I'll bring you there. We're all getting the Wake and Bake. Tastes like coffee. Get a nice shot of espresso in the morning, mixed with some beer. So you can go on over to buffbrew.com, see all the flavors they're brewing up. Especially they got some special ones for Oktoberfest that just happened. So it's a good time down there at Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company. Okay, well, golf talk is always fun, but we got to talk about the other form of hitting a small ball with a large stick. The MLB playoffs are happening right now. The Phillies, they take down your beloved Astros, Tyler. What did you see in that series?
The Braves, you mean?
I'm sorry. Your beloved Braves. My beloved Astros are still in it.
Get out of Houston, Chad.
Your beloved Braves. What did you see in that series, Tyler?
I saw absolute dominance from the Phillies. I mean, outside, game 2, Kyle Wright was pretty much the only Braves starter that was able to go 6 innings. In game 1, we saw Max Fried. He was dealing with the flu coming off of it. So I'm not going to make any excuse for this. I mean, the Phillies were just overall a better team, but Fried only went like 2 innings in that game, and then Charlie Morton went 2 games in yesterday's game, and then just offense, during the day games. That was my really main concern going into it, and that's what we saw. I mean, in the first game, we saw the Phillies go up like 7-3, and then Matt Olson tries to give the Braves an edge, hits a 3-run bomb, and then but the Phillies win game 1. But yeah, I just think that the offense of the Phillies are just hitting on all cylinders. Bryce Harper had a whale of a series. The middle of the order, Rhys Hoskins had a good series. We saw JT Realmuto get a inside the park home run. So, I mean, the Phillies, they're just a hot team. They remind me of last year's Braves. They were an 87-win team coming into it. So, I mean, you got to give them credit. They were the better team in this series.
Yeah, and they're going to be taking on the Padres, who just beat the Dodgers. And not a lot of people saw that coming. But when you make that many moves in the offseason or in trade deadline, bringing in Juan Soto to pair with Manny Machado, and you don't have Tatis, who knows whenever he'll come back. He really screwed up there doing those steroids. So that's on him. But, it ought to be a good matchup. Phillies, Padres, it starts next week.
It starts on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Fudge, who do you have taking the win in that one?
I'd probably give it to the Phillies. I just feel like they're rolling right now, and I think they've got the better pitching staff overall. To hold a team that was in the top 5 in scoring this year and scoring runs in Atlanta, and to hold them to basically less than 10 runs in a series was pretty impressive. I think that it's what I talked about before the series started. three starters that were pretty dominant for the Phillies and shut down the Braves offense. I mean, even at home, the Braves look pretty stagnant, and that's very hard to do in that environment. And they handled that very well. And of course, a couple big bats in there. I mean, if Bryce Harper's hitting the ball well and JT Realmuto's hitting the ball well, the Phillies are going to win baseball games. And I think they keep it rolling. I just see that San Diego has a couple of guys, and if it's not for Joe Musgrove, I don't think that they are going to win this series. I see it probably them getting one game out of it, but Philly looks like they're in it for the long haul. So,
yeah, I mean, they got our boy down from LSU, Aaron Nola, leading that pitching staff. Looks dominant as always, and his brother Austin.
Yeah, he plays on the Padres, so
so that's going to be a little Nola showdown there.
Yep.
Is he still a catcher?
Yeah, he is. He converted from, he was a shortstop at LSU, and then he converted went over to the MLB, converted to catcher. That way he gets a roster spot.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little brotherly rivalry. Thanksgiving's going to be awkward this year.
Whoever makes it to the World Series is going to be like, if they win it, like, hey, look at this.
Look at this nice ring. This nice ring I got here. Okay, well, let's click to the other side of the bracket. We got Houston locking up their sixth ALCS, 6 in a row. So shout out Astros. And they're going to be taking on the winner of the Yankees and the Guardians, which is going on right now. Do we have a live score update?
It is currently 4-2. Yankees are up in the top of the 7th with 1 out.
Okay, so now if the Yankees win,
Cleveland leads the series 2-1. So
yeah. So if the Yankees win, then they go to Game 5 tomorrow.
I think it's very key that Cleveland needs to win this game here because they're playing at home. I don't think they want to have to go back to New York.
They're not winning at Yankee Stadium again.
Yeah, it's going to be too difficult for them to do that. They did still won in New York.
They did.
I don't think they can.
But that's whenever Shane Bieber was on the mound, and Bieber I don't think is pitching.
Well, they may be playing 2 more games. The Astros basically played 2 games last night, 18 innings. I mean, just an absolute snooze fest, 0-0 until someone hits a home run in the top of the 8th. Yep. Wade sent us earlier one of the catchers had a broken thumb and like a torn ligament in his knee or something, and he played the entire game, all 18 innings. Let me get the fellow's name because that is just an
impressive.
Houston?
Yeah. No, was it Houston?
Yeah, no, it was Seattle. It was Cal Raleigh, the catcher.
Yeah, I mean, that is just, Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh played 18-inning marathon with broken thumb and torn hand ligaments.
I mean, even though that was a sweep, I mean, that was a really good series. Like, Game 1, Mariners go up 7-3, and then here's your old daddy, Yordan Alvarez, hits a 3-run jack to send the Astros.
We were going nuts, man.
And then Game 2, he does it again whenever they were, I believe, down by 1 run, and then they win 3-2, and then yesterday's game, freaking 18-inning game. So I think, Astros are going to be very tough out in the ALCS.
I was flipping back and forth between LSU and the Astros. I was like, somebody's got to score here. Somebody's got to score first. Let's see.
Hey, Bregman had a good series, too. I mean, I remember, I believe it was in Game 2, where it was like a 1-run game. They intentionally walked Yordan. I'm like, oh, what? Why are they even doing this? They have Alex Bregman, who was a beast at LSU. Comes in and rips a double, and here comes 2 runs, and they win like 6-2. So,
well, he started that home run, like I guess they're trained in the first game. He hit that home run, and they were down by 2.
I mean, when you have Set It Off as your walk-up song, you're going to get a hit every time.
You got some boozy power right there, man. I mean, that's what we talked about earlier with Logan. If you got a song like that, you walk up and
you got to hit a
nuke.
You got to hit towards the train.
Yeah, exactly. So
all I know is that series could have gone either way. I mean, really speaking, like if Alvarez hadn't hit those home runs, this easily could be 2-1 Seattle headed back to Seattle.
Yep.
And they could close it out. And that's the crazy part. That's what I like about 5-game series. I mean, it's better than going 7-7 to close it out. I just feel like it's too long, and it's baseball to begin with, and baseball is just long in general. I think the baseball season is too long anyways to figure out who's going to make it there to the end. Because regardless, I mean, really, what's another 20 games gonna do at the end of the day? I mean, sure, every once in a while somebody might make a run, but if you're so far down, I mean, there's no way that somebody's going to come back, and you trade off here and there every once in a while, and people end up 1 or 2 games back. But at the end of the day, a team like uh, Cleveland wasn't even on anybody's radar to even go to the playoffs. Never mind make it to the ALCS. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And it's good for Seattle. I mean, going forward, they have young talent. Mitch Haniger's healthy again, so I think that's good for them. I think Robbie Ray's probably towards the end of his time in his career. I don't see him going too much longer.
No. They gotta add more weapons, like both in the bullpen and starting pitching, if they want to go deeper in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, they need definite depth in the bullpen, and I think they need at least one other starter. I know it's hard. I think the person that would have fit best in that role is a good guy who kind of stays low out of the radar, and that's probably Noah Syndergaard. But now him being in Philly, it's kind of difficult to lock that up on a contract like that. Even guys like Matt Barnes out of Boston, been there a really long time. He's a good middle reliever, some guy that can log up some solid innings for you. But I just feel like they're one big pitching piece away from going a little bit further.
Yeah, no. Good thing about having a young team is that especially this success that they just had, you can build off of that for next year, and they'll probably be right back where they're at. So, who do you got? Well, I guess it depends on Yankees versus Cleveland, but you think it's going to be Yankees?
No, it's going to be the Astros. Whoever, it doesn't matter who they face. I just think that the Astros, especially at home, because they have more games now. It's a 7-game series. So say if it goes like a 6 and 7, and they get those home games. I just think that if it's the Yankees, the Astros have showed this season that they've owned them on their pitching staff. One time they no-hit the Yankees. So I just think that the way that the Astros offense is rolled, and especially the way that Yordan Alvarez is playing, then they're not going to lose many games. So I think with the home field advantage and just the pitching, the way that's been going, I know that Verlander struggled in game one, but I just think that he just needed a game in postseason. I think once he gets his next start in the LCS, he'll be good. But if it's the Guardians, then man, we're going to have some parity in this MLB playoffs this year. That's for sure. And I love it.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing that I was going to bring up. Houston didn't play, and it was kind of the same thing with Atlanta. They didn't play that first week. They had the bye, and you match up against teams that did, and those teams started off hot.
Yep.
And it's a long season. It's 182 games. Your longest break is All-Star break, and it's like 5 days.
Yeah.
So you take a 6-day break, those dudes are out of their rhythm.
Yeah, just look at the Dodgers. I mean, they were a 111 team, and you have a Padres team that finished 20 games back in their division. I mean, the Dodgers absolutely own them all season. And then they come, they cruise to the Mets, who was also a 100-win team, and then they beat the 111-win team. So if you're a Philly fan, I would not count out the Padres because they are as hot as Philly is right now.
So who do you think's making it to the World Series, Tyler?
Oh, man. I just feel like probably the Astros. I would have to say that the Yankees are probably going to get through, especially if they win the 9th. I think that I just don't see them losing at Game 5 at Yankee Stadium with that hostile crowd. So I have Yankees and Astros. I think the Astros win that in 6. And I just feel like the NLCS is a Game 7 written all over it. I think that the pitching staff is pretty even. I mean, I know that Jacob hinted at Joe Musgrove, but you got guys like Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, Blake Snell has a ton of playoff experience with Tampa Bay, and he also has a World Series appearance. So I even think, the two offenses are really cruising at the right time. You had Cronenworth with the key base hits, Machado sitting it good. Looks like Soto is starting to get out of his slump. So I think the NLCS is going to be a better series overall than the LCS, but I just think it's going to go to Game 7. But I'm going to go with the Phillies. I might as well. I think that when you look at them, I think that their 1-2 punch of Wheeler and Aaron Nola are just better overall than the Ford. So I think that game number 1, if I had to bet, it would probably be Ranger Suarez going for the Phillies since he pitched in Game 1 of the NLDS. They'll probably do the same rotation, and they'll probably. If you're on the Padres side, probably roll Clevenger, their 4th guy. So it would probably be like a 4v4, and then they'll go back to their regular rotation.
Okay, I like it. So you're going Houston versus Phillies in the World
Yeah, and I
Series.
still got Houston winning it all. I mean, I'm gonna lock in that pick. Got to go with my boy Bregman.
Yep. Jacob, who do you got? Who do you think is making the World Series?
I think first of all, I think the series between the Yankees and the Guardians. I think the Guardians have the better pitching roster. I just feel like Garrett Cole is the only weapon that the Yankees have, and if Garrett Cole isn't pitching, then it's anybody's game. And if Aaron Judge doesn't hit the ball out of the park at least one time in a game, they're not going to win.
He's had like 7 strikeouts so far in the series. Yeah. He's like 0-4. He hasn't had a hit yet.
Yeah, and it's very difficult. So I think that Cleveland can win one of the next two. It either goes to tonight or the next game. I mean, that's either way. That's the nice thing about being out front. But I think it'll be Houston and Cleveland. Kind of a change of pace, and I think it's going to be interesting. And you probably have Bieber facing off against Verlander in the game one, which would be pretty insane. That'd be a crazy pitching matchup. Probably a 1-0 game in that one too, or an 18-inning game.
Yeah.
I think.
Glad the Astros are getting some rest after that because man, their bullpen they even had to put out like Luis Garcia.
Yeah,
out there. He
they had to go
5
deep.
innings.
Yeah, they had to go deep.
It's definitely going to be Verlander on the mound since he pitched in game 1 of the NLDS, so it'll pretty much be the same rotation.
They should have threw out Alex Bregman, inning like 15. Just ended it right there. Mariners wouldn't know.
But honestly, if it's the Guardians, I don't think the Astros have a problem with that. I think that it could go.
But I think it's somebody they're not used to, and I think that's different because they're used to the Yankees, and I think if they know that they can beat the Yankees, they probably sweep the Yankees. But it's just different, and it's
would
just
love to sweep the Yankees.
That would shut up all the
stupid
hatred from the Yankees if they swept them.
Oh, that game in New York, if we end up playing them, it's going to be insane. They're going to be beating trash cans and just going nuts.
Well, the one saving grace for Cleveland in this series against the Yankees is their manager is Terry Francona, who spent years with the Boston Red Sox, knows the Yankees like the back of his hand. And on the other side, it
could be the battle of Jose's if we get Cleveland. Yeah. Jose Ramirez and Jose Altuve.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
Well, I think that's my AL. That'd be Houston and Cleveland. In the NL, of course, you've got Philly and San Diego. I think that the Phillies probably win that series. I just think they're the better team overall, pitching, hitting-wise. I know Machado's a big bat. Cronenworth's a big bat, but I just think there's –
You got to take at least one, though, at Petco because
I think so.
From the atmosphere I saw from the 2 games, like, oh, my gosh.
I want to go to a Phillies game.
Those fans were for both fans, both fans were getting into it as well. So I think that if the Phillies can take one, then I think they can take that series easily. But if they get swept, then like 2-0 going back to Philly, then I'm not so sure now.
Yeah, so I've got Philly and Houston facing off in the World Series. I think it'd be a good series. 2 teams that hardly see each other. So I think it'd be very interesting. I think it'd be interesting for our network too.
NL East teams have had success against Houston in the World Series as well. The Nationals won in 2019, the Braves last year. So I don't think if you're an Astros fan, you don't want to see another NL East team go to the World Series.
It would be fun for our network if we get a Phillies Astros World Series. Yeah. We'll have to maybe hop on there and
Phillies Astros live stream for
do all games.
Y'all come to Houston. We'll go to Buffalo Bayou Brewery and live stream the game there.
Or just break the bank and just go to one of the games.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Live, maybe we get the Astros to let us live stream at the game. Free tickets. Huh? If you're out there, Houston, listen, and we already got some famous breweries sponsoring us. Maybe the Astros will do it too. But hey, you know what? No matter what team gets in there, you can go on over to Fanatics and get their gear.
They got the NLCS gear already.
Exactly, and if you use our link and you use code GOURD GOURD, don't know where that came from. That's not a fall. Yeah,
you get up to this small thing. We went from cider to acorn to gourd.
Do you know what a gourd is?
No, I don't know what a gourd is.
A gourd is one of those tiny misshaped pumpkins. They're white. That's a gourd.
So I guess that is fall. I just never heard of that.
That's a weird word to put as your.
Why couldn't they? I guess they have to do a 4-letter word, so they can't do pumpkin. So
it's 5. It's GOURD.
I tell you what, it looks like a pumpkin that got infected by like poison ivy or some sort of disease and got like bubbly and stuff. Because
that's a pumpkin I do not want to have around. Then
it's
really
weird.
Well, if you head on over using that link, our link below, and use coupon code GOURD, GOURD, you can get up to 65% off all your gear, especially some of this MLB gear. They got the NLCS, ALCS. I'm looking at the shirts right now, man. They're looking pretty fire. I might have to give me an Astros shirt.
No. Wait till they potentially win it all. Then,
yeah, I don't want to be walking around in a ALCS shirt.
Yeah.
I mean,
you.
What good is that? I
Yeah,
mean,
you want to get if you're gonna wear a rep a shirt in the playoffs, this got to be for the main crown.
Yeah, so I'll wait until maybe it's coupon code pumpkin spice latte. I don't know.
Latte.
Get 65% off.
Hey,
speaking of Eli Apple, he got burnt today, but we'll get into that.
Let me get y'all's opinion. So speaking of like shirts, like championship shirts, what are your thoughts on purchasing shirts like when we see like football national championship shirts? They're not like the national champion shirts. It's the national championship shirt and it has both helmets for both teams on it. What are your thoughts on that? Would you hold out for if your team ended up losing?
No, you got to have confidence there.
No.
You either buy your team shirt or you don't buy it.
Yeah, you go and then I'll
you gotta have confidence, okay?
My policy is the only shirts that I get are like, well, outside of 2019, I got the SEC champion shirt, and then I got the playoff shirt, and then I got the national championship shirt. But last year's run, I just waited for the World Series stuff, and I just broke the bank on that. I got like
and you didn't purchase any of those shirts until after the season was
Tyler
over.
had no confidence.
Correct. No, I literally literally after the final out, I hit order. And
he had it pulled up in the cart. And if you would have used our link and used coupon code GOURD, he would have got up to 65% off.
Well, we weren't sponsored by them.
We didn't even have a podcast at that time.
But now we are.
I understand why you do it, Tyler, but I feel like you got to have some sort of like confidence in your team. You know what? I'm buying this shirt, and when it gets here, we're going to be world champions. Yep. So I think that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, but I don't want to woohoo, we made it to the NLCS, but I want the big.
Oh, I'm not buying the
I'd rather just wait to break the bank on, winning the World Series, National Championship, World Championship, whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that one. But yeah, you can if you are one of those people that likes to buy NLCS and ALCS shirts, you can head on over to Fanatics, use our link, and use coupon code GOURD, GOURD, for 65% up to 65% off your order. Okay, well, we hit our golf, we hit our baseball.
And we went on to a spiel about how to purchase your merchandise.
Exactly. Now we got to get into the college football. But before we get into the actual games, I want to talk about Kirk Herbstreit and his TikTok account.
Fire.
The man it's goated. I mean, his son I
don't know if he has like a graphic designer.
So his son worked for Pat McAfee. He was an intern for the Pat McAfee show for like a year. And then when Pat joined College Game Day, I think he still maybe works for Pat, but now he does stuff for his dad because obviously they're together all the time.
No.
I mean, Kirk Herbstreit must have the busiest life of anyone in America. He's flying to the Thursday night game, okay? Gets done with that. He then turns around and flies to he'll fly to wherever they have game day on Friday. And then he does the
Saturday night football wherever they're.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got college game day in the morning. They get up at like 5 in the morning and then do that. And then he hops on a plane and flies to Saturday night football, wherever ESPN's at. He calls that one. And then he flies back. And does he do Monday night football or he just does Thursday night? Okay.
He just does Thursday.
By Sunday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever he's home, he's finally done and can take a break. And then he's back at it again Thursday, which some people are like, oh, he only works 4 days a week. But he's flying to multiple cities, multiple states within a 24-hour period.
Like 24 hours.
And he gets up there and he talks in front of hundreds of thousands and millions of people every night. So, I mean, and the TikToks, the song choices are great. The editing's great. Like, it's just fun to see it. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Jacob? Do you think Kirk is the busiest man alive, or is just making it look good for TikTok?
No, I think he really is busy. I mean, I've seen some of his TikToks and stuff, and I think the best TikTok of all is him arriving at one of his locations to get to the hotel, and there was nobody at the counter, and the door was locked. And he's
that was hilarious. Yeah.
Dude, it's like 3:00 in the morning. I'm trying to go to bed. I gotta be up
You had to be up at 6.
Yeah. Yeah. This poor guy's stranded on the side of the street outside of his hotel.
Yeah.
It was wild. But I think it's crazy. Like, this weekend he went from Knoxville down to Tallahassee, which wasn't too bad on Saturday.
He was in Chicago.
Yeah, he was in Chicago. Then he went to Knoxville.
For a sorry game of the Thursday night game.
That was terrible.
We can talk about that when we get to the NFL.
Yeah,
that's just wrong.
I think it's crazy, but like he went out to Stanford here not too long ago. I mean, from the East Coast, that's a long friggin' road trip. And I mean, talk about your body just being exhausted from changing time zones and everything. I mean, the sun is rising and it's 4:00 in the afternoon because you're going out west.
Yeah, and then he has to like fly back home to Nashville, literally right after the game.
I think he is probably the businessman alive. Although you brought up Pat McAfee, I think
Pat McAfee just brings so much energy.
I mean, he just did a backflip into the Tennessee River.
He's fantastic.
He's not calling the games on Thursday night, but he's doing this. I mean, he calls the games on Saturday nights. They do have a game that he does, but he does it like at his studio or something. So they put some time in. I give them that. And it's fun to see him bring the energy week in and week out.
I think the one guy to replace Coach Corso there, if something does, happen, I know he's been having some health problems recently, but if there's ever a person to replace him to do headgear, it is Pat McAfee, because there's nobody else on this planet that could do that with that kind of energy. I just feel like McAfee was the one piece that they were missing. I think it's fantastic. It is funny to watch it. Like, I've never laughed. Do you know that they're like, I've thought about this. I'm up Saturday morning and I'm sitting there, they have these stories. Like, they had a story about the one kid from Michigan who has bone cancer. He's been going through a lot. And of course that makes you tear up and everything. And then you got Pat McAfee, just makes you crack up laughing. And then you have the serious parts. Like, College Game Day pulls on every heartstring. It's funny. It's
just a wild roller coaster ride of emotions.
And every time, they bring that platter of food, he's always chowing down.
He's just sitting there eating.
He's like, "Oh, this is good, man. Where did you get this from?"
They said something today. Oh, it was maybe it was last week's show. They were talking about Oklahoma's quarterback, General Booty.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I like me some booty. I like General Booty, exotic booty, all the booty." And
I think Reese said something too.
Yeah, he's got Reese cracking up and saying comments. Kirk's cracking jokes. I mean, they're all up there. They're relaxed now, and they're bantering with one another. And it just flows really good.
I feel like they're more loose when McAfee's up there. It's like they don't have to be as serious as
it was a great addition to the show, and I've really enjoyed watching it. Tyler, you mentioned he did a backflip into the Tennessee River. You know what else did a backflip into the Tennessee River?
The goalpost.
The goalpost. So, yes. We got to talk about Tennessee taking down Alabama.
Dude,
not only that, now they're asking for the students to pay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it was a serious thing. I think it was hey, we already have to pay.
Dude, did you see the donors? It's hilarious. It's like $16 for as many years how many years that since like Tennessee beat Alabama, and they have like $52.49 of like the donations that you can do. It was
well, they've already got to pay $100,000 for rushing the field. And so now they got to pay for some new goalposts. That's why LSU put up the 2 goalposts so they can't tear them down.
League style. You can never tear those things down.
What's funny is when they got the goalposts down, they brought it to the top of the concourse, and like they were going to throw it over the side. And somebody must have thought, hey, this isn't a great idea, guys. Let's go back down and then bring it out the tunnel. So kudos to the Tennessee students. I'm sure they were all hammered. I'm glad they made the right decision not to just throw it over the side of the stadium.
Hey, also kudos to them for taking it almost half a friggin' mile to the Tennessee River to throw it in there. That's commitment.
Yeah. takes a lot of
I
people.
don't feel bad for the dude that's sitting on top riding the thing the whole way. He got a free ride down to the. He would have had to pay $1,000 for an Uber down there.
Yeah,
We're at the top of a golf.
that's a cheap Uber.
But I mean, Knoxville was lit ablaze that night. You had all the country stars there. Morgan Wallen's there. Kenny Chesney, Peyton Manning. They're all having a blast. People were getting free concerts from Morgan Wallen in bars. He was just showing up, grabbing the guitar like Futch has behind him, and just strumming along some chords. Peyton Manning's playing the piano in the corner. Like, I mean, it was just insane. And I mean, rightfully so. My take on it, Tennessee is rivaling 2019 LSU. Everybody, I think Hooker has a very good chance to win the Heisman this year. I think the defense needs some work. It's the same type as 2019 LSU. They're blowing out teams. It was like I was watching basically a replay of the LSU Alabama game from a few years ago. They were blowing Alabama out in the first half. Alabama scores, makes it close going into halftime. And then all of a sudden, Alabama's winning. And Tennessee had to fight back through some adversity, and it really showed, what they were made of. And I don't want to say they'll overtake the, LSU obviously was the greatest college football team of all time. I'm not ready to give it to Tennessee yet, and that might just be my biasy. But I think they make a very strong argument, and they've definitely earned the number one ranking in my eyes.
Well, I agree. I mean, I voted for them in the poll that we're doing on Gridiron Heroics. I put them at number 1 and Georgia 2. What I really don't get is Alabama only dropping 3 spots. I know that
We'll save it.
A missed field goal. It cracks me up. One, that kicker probably doesn't have a job anymore. Nick Saban was loving him, and then all of a sudden he misses this field goal. It's the first time they've lost in 15 years to Tennessee.
I don't think he can put it on his kicker. I think I think their defense is god awful. I think their secondary is probably worse than Kansas's secondary, and that's saying something.
Yeah,
but it's awful. I mean, I've never seen guys so open in my life. I mean, 10, 15 yards, nobody. I mean, yards after the catch were insane.
Especially Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, Hyatt went off 6 catches with 5 touchdowns. I mean, the dude was just a walking touchdown.
He's built like a tight end, but he's a wide receiver, and he's just massive. I mean,
Hooker's just Hyatt's down there somewhere. I'm just going to throw it up. He'll catch it. I ain't worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Tennessee was able to win that game, the scoop and score, it was like tied, and Alabama gets the scoop and score. Like, here we go. Alabama's going to survive once again. And, Tennessee finds Jalen Hyatt once again. So I think, Tennessee still has everything to play for them. They have Georgia in 2 weeks in Athens, and they have Kentucky, I believe, in the coming weeks. So they get UT Martin this week, so they get to, settle it down before getting back into SEC play. But, I think that Tennessee is as worthy as being the number 1 team. Their resume is definitely the best in the country right now.
I think the turning point in that game was not the missed field goal by Alabama. It was before that. I think it was the pick that Hendon Hooker threw, that ended up being pulled back for pass interference.
That was huge.
That was massive, and they drove down the field. And, I think at the end of the game, Alabama misses the field goal had no chance. Tennessee gets the ball back with 14 seconds and moves it roughly
they flipped the field.
35 yards and kick a field goal to win it. Alabama tips it, and it still goes through, which I thought was wild.
I thought he was missing it 100%. I mean, the way that
where the camera was, it made it look weird because they put it right behind him and they tipped it.
I was just looking at the refs to see if they were doing this or doing this.
Did you see when they stormed the field, the refs took off?
Yeah, they took off. They're like, I am not getting trampled over tonight. I earned my paycheck and I'm out of here.
There were some very questionable calls in that game, and people argue the pass interference that was overturned, the interception. Well, you got to think I think the quarter before they had that pass interference on Tennessee in the end zone where the dude gets dragged down. Yeah, it should have been on Alabama, and they ended up scoring there.
Pass interference.
Yeah, so I think in the end it leveled itself out.
But. Yeah.
I was saying last night, I was watching the USC and Utah game, and there were some questionable calls in that game. And I said something to the effect of, a lot of these kids that are in college, they've figured out what they have to do in order to draw a flag. I mean, offensively,
It's
offensive
the
wide
same
receiver.
in that they watch the pros, and that's
Sure,
all
Alabama
you
had
start
70
throwing up your
utilities.
hands.
Sure. And, I watched a USC receiver basically just fall back in midair on purpose in order to draw a flag, and they ended up getting the flag, and ultimately he saw that the corner hadn't turned around to see where the ball was, and he just falls back, and they barely put a hand on him. I'm like, dude, you weigh 215 pounds. It's going to take a lot more than a pinky finger to push you over.
It's gotten a little out of hand, but that's what it's the theatrics of it. If you can sell the penalty, you're getting it every time. That's what I'm saying. If you go up for a catch and you don't make it, just start throwing your flag, and they'll probably throw it.
Yeah, just sell it. As long as you sell it, I mean, you're really, like you said. I think you mentioned, Chad, whenever we were talking about the pass interference call today in the Saints game. Like, if you sell it, then they're going to call it because they're based on your reaction more than what's happening on the field.
Yes.
I want to talk about an intimidation factor that Tennessee had. I don't know if y'all saw this video
I saw
going
that
around on Twitter.
Just like
the offensive line, the lineman looks at the D line, shoots through his face mask, and he says, "I'm coming."
You know what that reminds me of? The scene from the Little Giants when they like eat those things, and they're like,
I like
that's what it reminds me.
I like the fact that he stared down.
Yeah, he just
and then
blowing chunks
one,
and just me and you, buddy. Me and
the
you.
other D lineman to his left, like, kind of looks over at his buddy there next to him, and he's like, and he's gonna run you over. Kind of give him, oh crap!
He's gonna start running away.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of somebody that was running away a lot, well, not really running away. He was running in for touchdowns. Jaden Daniels, baby. LSU whooping up against Florida. They were up big, and they made it interesting at the end. That's 5 wins in a row against Florida, Tyler? 4. We've won, I saw over the past 10 years, or since 2010, we've won not 12 times. We've won 10 times. So I think we've only lost them twice. 5 of those wins have been in Florida. So, but yeah, LSU looked like a completely different football team. That Brian Kelly's, we got to coach better. Well, I guess he finally figured it out how to coach better. Jaden Daniels was looking through his progressions. I mean, he was throwing to like the 4th man open. Keyshawn Boutte had over 100 yards receiving. I was like, where's this team been? I mean, we probably could have hung with Tennessee last week if we would have played like that. So defense looked abysmal. Tackling, I swear, if you want to play football in the state of Louisiana, whether it be for the Saints or LSU, you have to miss 15 tackles a game to stay on the team because they were arm tackling like nobody's business. Richardson had that long touchdown run, should have been tackled 4 times. I mean, they were just trying to strip the ball. But besides that, Daniels was looking good as a passer, 3 touchdowns on the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground. First quarterback to do that in LSU history since Mr. Joe Burrow. He did it 5 times. So he's got some work to do.
Game ball goes to the offensive line, though, I think.
Yeah.
I think offensive line
Will Campbell being back made all the difference.
It made a huge difference. So
I've been high on offensive lines this year. I don't know why.
They make or break a team.
It really does.
If they're not blocking, then you suck.
Yeah. I mean,
when your dude pukes and then just runs over his defensive lineman, that's your guy. That's toughness. That man's not touching your quarterback. That's what it comes down to.
I'll tell you what, Jane Daniels literally had an electric performance because literally after he ran in for a touchdown, 35-28, my power went out for like 4 hours of the game. So a transformer blew right by my neighborhood. So I had to
sent shockwaves down to tip.
Yeah, I had to listen to the game on my radio in my car. So it was a very intense.
Your car to listen to the game.
Yeah, that's how I listened to the end of the game. But yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels was like just looking for his progressions more. Like you mentioned, Boutte had his best game. So I think if he can continue that momentum, then this offense can hang with any team, especially Ole Miss this weekend.
Yeah, they got a tough matchup coming up next week. We got Ole Miss, who was blowing out Auburn by halftime, and then they let them come back and made it a little interesting, but they still ended up winning by 14, and LSU should have won by 28. But
if it wasn't for the defense being terrible, we would have.
Tom Petty comes on the loud speakers.
Dude, oh my gosh, that's another thing. My gosh, I was like Joe Desator, the over, I don't know what the over-under was set of him making, the Florida defense won't back down. Let's see if they can do this.
He said it every 5 minutes. Oh, they're not backing down.
We have a special performance on Tom Petty Day. My gosh.
It's not a special performance on Tom Petty Day. They play it every single
it's a tradition.
game.
I mean, it's fine.
Why is it there? Like, what connection does Tom Petty have to Florida? I guess Tom Petty's
from Florida. That's really all that I know about. I don't really know that if he went to the University of Florida. I don't know. But did you see what the LSU Twitter put
yes.
hey, and put the song over the highlights? I think that was the best.
Yeah, the highlight reel had "Won't Back Down" as the song.
Love it.
But I was glad to see us. I mean, that's just an all-around good team win.
Yeah,
we're gonna need it.
It was needed.
Do we play in Oxford next week?
No, we play in Baton Rouge.
Oh, that's right. You'll be there, won't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
I know Wade will be there.
I won't.
So, Futch, well, you were supposed to be at the Saints game, and we lost.
I was supposed to be, but whatever. They ended up losing anyway, so who cares? I mean,
well, we would have won if you were there. That's all I got to say.
You've probably been rooting for the Bengals anyways.
Can we probably? Can we speak to the fact that college football is the strangest thing and the most literally?
They had 4 teams in the top 10 get beat this week.
It's the most
the best weekend.
Well, no, I'm saying mentally, it's mentally exhausting.
Yeah,
we talked about how LSU's downfall was awful and that they need
We're
to make
screaming at the camera.
And then we put up 45 the next week. We go from not scoring.
So I don't know what to do at this point. That's why I'm not pissed that Penn State lost, because next week's a new week and who cares at this point?
Might as well get to it since you mentioned it.
Well, hold on real quick. I want to apologize to Jaden Daniels for calling that he should be benched because he proved us wrong. He must have heard us. He was like, you know what? These 4 dudes that run this sports podcast, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm putting 45 points on Florida. So kudos to the Tigers.
Just need to start saying bad things. Maybe that's how he plays good.
Dude, I'm excited for the Ole Miss game. I hate that it's a 2:30 kickoff. I would have loved a night game in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, LSU. Ole Miss.
We're going to be watching that game for 6 hours.
They're saving it for Alabama.
I'd rather.
Well, that's going to be at 2:30 as well. Just get ready for
it. No, I think they reserved it as a night game.
No, they already used their prime. They only get one primetime game per year.
Well, you know what, CBS? Screw off. Give it to ESPN.
Wait, who'd they use it on?
Actually, they haven't
used
the same
it.
weekend they have Georgia and Tennessee, so they'll probably take that. I would have to bet.
I'm pretty sure I saw that
night games.
That Ole Miss and LSU is at 2:30 because Alabama and LSU is already locked for at night.
I think so.
I think that's set beginning of the year.
Yeah, but
CBS
only gets one prime time, so ESPN would have to pick it up.
We'll see.
But like I'm saying,
I hope
CBS,
ESPN.
ESPN
is. ESPN's gonna take Georgia and Tennessee if it's 1 versus 2, something like that. They're gonna take that with ease.
You don't think CBS will grab them?
No.
I don't know, man. CBS
they're probably gonna put us with Joe Tessitore again.
Great. Gary Daniels.
It's like the 5th game that we have to hear him.
Look,
hey, I like hearing.
Have to put up with the freaking Big Ten announcers because they are so obnoxious. It is not even funny.
Well, it is. Go ahead and get into it with Penn State, Michigan. Big. What is it? Big noon at
Big noon kickoff.
Yeah. Noon kickoff.
That's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, let's put our biggest game at 11 o'clock where no one's probably gonna watch it.
The biggest dumpster fire of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State.
Enjoy CBS, though. They're going to be grand.
Yeah, you're going to love them. I'm glad they're
ready to get rid of
You're going to enjoy your 6-hour games every week and listen to Gary Danielson probably, oh, my gosh, Ohio State.
No, he's going to go, oh, my gosh. This reminds me of what I was calling the Alabama game with Nick Saban.
My gosh, Alabama. If Alabama's losing, oh, boy.
Yeah, so.
They get all pissed.
Penn State, I mean, Michigan came up ready to rock and roll, and then Penn State made it close going into half. But I guess they just didn't come out of the locker room.
Nope.
Did Sean Clifford get hurt? I stopped watching, and then I saw.
No, they just benched him.
They took his helmet away from him, and he was holding his right shoulder. But I think
that was just for the camera.
He's not the problem. I think the dude in the glasses on the sidelines is the problem.
Well, he got an 8-year extension in the offseason, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon unless they pay out a massive contract, which Penn State has the money for, but I don't think they're going to do it because this is only their second head coach, second long-term head coach in the last 70 years. So
the last one didn't turn out too well.
So I think you don't even know the whole story about that.
Well, you have Bill O'Brien.
I'm just talking about the scandal.
We'll save that for a different day. We'll save that for a different day. But I think the main story of the game was Michigan's offensive line dominated. Blake Corum was
that dude
single-handedly carried them. That was it. I mean, the guy had a total of 85 carries in the last 3 games going into the game. So you knew he was going to get the ball. Defensively, Penn State looked terrible other than their secondary. Secondary played well. Everybody else played awful. Offensively, as far as Penn State goes, they need to figure out what their offensive line is doing because they show up every other week. And Nick Singleton could barely move the football. And it looked really bad. I mean, he's an inside runner, but it looked really bad.
Agreed.
And yes, Vincent,
I don't think it's not very upset, but I agree that it was bad.
It was
bad. For sure it was bad. I mean, you kind of had to think about it a little bit because it is in Ann Arbor. I know it's a maze out. It was 11 a.m. maze out. That just seems stupid. An 11 a.m. maze out. I don't get it.
Maze out.
You're saying it's stupid one
before the game.
It's weird. I don't.
Or is that the color they wear? Is that what they call their yellow?
It's a maze.
It's highlighter. Yeah, they call it maze.
It's freaking yellow. It's blue and yellow. It's not maze.
Blue and maze.
What are you in Iowa? You're gonna go through a corn maze before you get in the game?
They hand out corn.
Yeah,
they did a maze out. They should have got that kid with the corn.
That would have been amazing.
Oh my god, yes.
It's corn. Go blue.
They would have went ballistic if that would have happened. Even if they put them on the Jumbotron.
That would have been awesome.
This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think Michigan has the worst run out before games I've ever.
Blue banner.
The stupid Go Blue banner is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Just biased based on what happened this weekend.
This rant would have been more entailed if you didn't get beat by like 37.
It is so bad. I'd rather watch Clemson run down a hill with a bunch of balloons flying in the air than watch.
Do we just want to get to like the worst like run out?
It's terrible.
I don't understand. The best one.
It's like I'm in 5th grade and I'm like trying to hit the exit sign in the hallway with my hand. It doesn't make any sense. I don't like it. It's lame.
All right. Well, we know Futch hates Michigan, and rightfully so because they whooped up on them.
It's all right.
Michigan and Ohio State play in a few weeks, so
they're going to be
in the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Another undefeated team.
None of them playoffs.
Yeah, battle of 2 undefeated teams that happened. It actually went into double overtime. TCU and Oklahoma State. And they end up winning. TCU ends up winning double overtime. Horned Frogs, baby. I'm picking them to make it to the playoffs. I mean, they're looking great.
I mean, it didn't look good early. I mean, Oklahoma State dominated that game. It was like, 30-16, and here comes Max Duggan. I mean, man, that dude is
that dog
a monster. Like, he's not getting much recognition that he needs to. Like, I think he could definitely be on the Heisman race. I think the Heisman race is probably like C.J. Stroud, and then Hooker, him, and then Blake Corum of his performance that he did. But
yeah.
So, I mean, TCU, like I said, whoever won this one controlled their destiny. It's looking like a TCU runaway to the Big 12.
I think we start a new segment called "Who Got That Dog in Them."
Let's go.
I like this week.
That dog
I like that. Let's start.
Who got that dog in him?
Yeah, no, Max Duggan for sure. I mean, when they do an X-ray of him, he's got a dog right there.
Yeah, he's got the dog. You know who else?
Walking the dog.
Who else?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, baby, got that dog. Hey Arnold looking dude. He's got
for
that
one
dog.
week. For 1 week.
No.
Yeah, we'll see what he does next week.
Josh Williams could also have that dog in him. I mean, that man just
for being a
broke off some runs.
He graduates in December, but he's a walk-on, so he still has 2 years of eligibility left. So that's going to be fun to watch.
You know who doesn't have that dog in him?
Bryce Young.
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas is falling off. I mean, they did lose their starting quarterback, Jalen.
But to allow that many points, it's just bad. They're playing like the Kansas of old now.
Well,
Well,
the hype
they
is
were wrong.
over. They had like their 5 weeks, and now it's over.
Well, who else isn't looking great? Notre Dame.
Oh
Stanford
yeah,
beat them for the
well,
first time in a long time.
the trees
Right.
beat them.
Yeah. So, and then also USC gets its first loss. Utah gives it to them at the end of the game. So,
Bye Pac-12 playoffs.
what's funny is they went for 2. Utah did to win the game, and they tried that against Florida and it didn't work. So, yeah, Pac-12 is definitely out of it. I think you got the SEC, the ACC, Big 10, and
You have
Big
like
12.
3 teams right now.
Pac-12
In
out of
the
it.
SEC
The Pac-12's not out of it yet. I don't think.
USC is going to
You
lose.
got the potential to have. Well,
I think if UCLA runs the table, I think they go.
Are
They
they
got
undefeated?
Oregon at Oregon though this week, so if they don't win that, I
That's
could
a
also
bigger
see
ten.
Oregon still in the mix. I mean, their one loss, I know it's bad, but it's against the number 2 team,
Is UCLA
number 1
undefeated?
team in the country.
Or does UCLA
UCLA?
have one? Yeah. Are they undefeated?
I
Yeah,
believe they are. Yes.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, they're not out of it just yet. Well, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Our top 4 college football playoff picks. I think the first ones get released next week, don't they?
it's
It's in
usually
2 weeks, something.
it's usually like the bye week. I think it's like I think it's the first week of November. That's when they release it.
Okay.
It's usually
Gotcha.
November when they start.
Okay. So Tyler, I'll let you go first. Who's your future top 4 college football or end of the
Well-
year? Who do you got in the playoffs?
Well, I have a big change, just because Penn State got their butts kicked in, so I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State anymore. So I think that number 1 is going to be the SEC champ. I think that there's really 4 teams that can do it. It's like Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, or Georgia. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I just the way that you said, like you mentioned, like this team reminds me so much of that 2019 LSU team. I just think that this is their year. They beat Alabama. I think that they can beat Georgia as well. I think that Georgia's defense is going to be able to contend with them. But I think that Tennessee's defense will be able to hold them. So I know it's in Athens, so I got to go with Tennessee. Got to go with the hottest team. Number 2 is going to be Ohio State. I think that they run the table. They beat Michigan and Columbus just because I think they're going to get revenge on them for what Michigan did to them. And then number 3, I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers. I just think that if they win this week against Syracuse, there's not really going to be any team in their way. I could see North Carolina beat them if they make it to the ACC championship. They have offense to contend with them. Number 4, TCU. I'm putting TCU in there. I just think that Max Duggan got that dog in him.
Got that dog in him.
I just think that TCU is going to ride into the sunset and get into the playoffs. So those are my 4, and I would love that. Just completely different teams.
TCU,
Clemson.
It's funny that you pick those particular 4 teams because I also have those 4 teams.
Well, I don't like
But
that.
I have different order between TCU and Clemson. I got Tennessee 1. I think they end up beating Georgia a few weeks. Last week, I said no. I think they beat Alabama, and then Georgia beats Tennessee. But after watching last week's game,
the problem I have is if they face Alabama, I don't know if they can beat them twice.
I don't think they're going to face Alabama. I think it's going to be LSU. But,
whoa!
No, I'm joking.
Oh my
I think
God. Slow your roll.
I think it's potentially Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss can beat Alabama.
We would have to win out for that to happen.
Exactly. So it's either going to be Ole Miss or LSU in my eyes. Face off. But I think it's going to be Tennessee at the number 1 spot. And then I think Ohio State's going to handle Michigan, especially since it's in Columbus. And then this is where I switch with you. I got TCU at number 3. I think TCU has better.
Yeah, they would probably have the better resume at that rate.
Better resume. Puts them at 3 to play Ohio State, and then Clemson at 4. I don't really see them losing. I thought they were going to lose this week. They might lose against Syracuse. Syracuse is a good team, but
it's at Clemson though, so that's the really.
So we're going to have a first round of playoffs. It's going to be an Orange Bowl. They might as well just have it be the Orange Bowl. Clemson, Tennessee. Fudge, who do you got?
Ready for this? Number 1, I've got Tennessee. I think they're the best team in the country right now. Both sides of the football. So I think they're number 1. Excuse me. That's it.
I guess
Tennessee's getting to them.
Agree with that.
No, I think they're number 1. My number 2 team is questionable. I think this is a toss-up. What could happen is if each one of the top 3 Big Ten teams lose, because you ultimately could have a case where, Michigan won this week. Ohio State has to come to Penn State, so it is a road game for them. It's probably their toughest road game of the year. And then at the end of it, Michigan has to face off against Ohio State still. So Ohio State still has 2 big games left on their schedule. So they still have to get through that. So I don't know if any Big Ten team is going to actually make it in. And if they do, they'd be the number 4 team. I don't know if it's going to happen. My number 2 team is probably going to be, as of right now, Clemson. I think they'll probably be the number 2 team in the country if they win out. I know they've kind of kept it close with a bunch of teams, but I think they're probably my number 2 pick. Number 3, I'm going to roll with UCLA. I think UCLA can win out this year. I think they have a chance to do it. If they win this weekend and they beat USC, it is in the cards for them to make it. And the number 4, I've got TCU. So I don't even have the Big Ten making it into the playoff this year. I think there's a chance that it doesn't happen.
Just real life, no Big Ten team in the
no Big Ten team in. Just the Big Ten's too questionable for me. I think it's the most questionable conference right now. And that might change in a couple weeks, but I think it's Tennessee 1, Clemson 2, UCLA 3, and TCU 4.
Okay.
You know what I saw? Like what if Tennessee loses to Georgia and Georgia loses someone?
Yeah.
What if all of them go 1 loss? Do all 3 get into the playoff? Like Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama.
I think they have at most 2 SEC teams this year. Probably just 1. I think they just take the SEC champion.
I mean, I'm really so tired of the 2 teams from the same conference in. It makes me so aggravated and pissed that.
But it's the best conference in college football.
It's the best conference in the land.
It's so much better than the Big Ten. I mean,
it is right now because nobody in the Big Ten can either score or play defense.
Yeah, Tennessee would
dominate,
steamroll some of these Big Ten schools.
I mean, at this rate, I might as well pick Illinois to make it to year 6 and call it a day.
They could be in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think the number 5 team, I want to know what y'all's number 5 team in the country would be at the end of the year.
Georgia would be mine.
Yeah, I think I'm going Georgia.
For me, I think it's Ole Miss.
I think Alabama still has a loss on their schedule.
I like that. Ole Miss. Yeah,
see, I think Ole Miss could be the number 5 team because if they end up beating Alabama, they would have to play Tennessee, who is the number 1.
To me, though, Georgia is only going to lose to Tennessee. I don't think.
Now, what happens now if Tennessee and Alabama or Ole Miss play and Ole Miss beats Tennessee? You think they go to the playoff?
Yeah, you have to. You got to put the SEC champion in.
They would be. They'd probably be. Well, we're going to beat them.
Would be number 1.
They would only be at 1 loss. If they're a 2 loss, then no, they couldn't be in.
There is potential for everyone up there right now to lose a football game.
Yeah,
because they all.
I think that there's not going to be many teams going undefeated by the end of the season
and that's what I like. I'd rather that than a bunch of undefeated teams.
I feel like the only one that is guaranteed is probably Clemson.
Yeah, and that's honestly it gets a little iffy. I mean, they got Miami there at the end. So
right.
8 of the top 10 teams are still undefeated. After this week, you might only see 6 of them after because it's changing so fast. I mean, we had people all the way down to 13, 14 that were still undefeated, and now here we are, and there's teams inside the top 10.
We're getting more.
It's one of the better college football seasons so far. Well, they released the top 25 today. You had Georgia at 1, which wasn't much of a surprise. Ohio State at 2, Tennessee at 3, so they got to jump up a little bit. Michigan at 4, and Clemson at 5, and Alabama dropped to 6. A team that I like to see, Tulane, number 25, making an appearance in the top 25. They've had a pretty good year this year, so shout out to the Green Wave getting in there. We got to talk about our upset picks. We went 2-2 this week with TCU over Oklahoma State, Tennessee over Alabama, Penn State over Michigan did not hit. Tyler, I don't quite remember what yours
Florida
was.
State, Clemson.
That one looked a little like it was getting there, but
it was never a chance. Never a chance.
So I had Wade send in an upset pick since he wasn't able to join us. And Wade is going with Syracuse over Clemson.
Took my pick.
There's not many this week. There's not many this week that are
I mean, there is some great matchups, but not as many as we had this past weekend.
Yeah. I'm going Texas over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State just lost to TCU. Texas got Quinn Ewers back. It's like the reincarnation of Colt McCoy. Texas looked great last week. I think they find a way to get it done in Stillwater. Take down Oklahoma State. So, Tyler, who do you got?
I have Ole Miss on upset alert.
Let's go. Jaden Daniels got that dog in him.
I think that what I just saw from Ole Miss's defense is going to be, especially if Jaden Daniels plays like he did this. I think this is going to be a high-scoring shootout. LSU's defense has been playing on their heels as of late. Their defensive line, Ole Miss rushing attack is going to be a concerning factor.
That's going to be the issue.
You got Zach Evans and Quinshon Junkins, who's pretty much just been 100-yard per carry. But I think that you're starting to see why Keyshawn Butte was a preseason All-American. So I think that the Tigers prevail in like a 42-38 type of game.
It's going to come down to it being at Tiger Stadium if we get it up, because it's probably going to be a shootout. And Jackson Dart ain't played in a place like Tiger Stadium yet. So
yeah, he's a transfer from USC. He hasn't seen that in the Pac-12. So I'm going to go with the Tigers over the Rebels this week. So there goes another undefeated.
There we go. Fudge. Who's your upset pick?
You guys have made this very hard on me.
Hey, were you thinking of that too?
I was thinking about a lot of things. I was thinking about how we're going to be 3-1 because my pick will probably not happen because the chances of that happening are slim to none. But screw it. I'll take BC on the road at Wake Forest for the upset.
Okay. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
BC kept it close at home against Clemson for a very long time. I think they can actually win a football game. I almost went Mississippi State.
I feel like BC's always pulling off an upset. So sooner or later they got to.
I wouldn't touch Mississippi State over Alabama.
Alabama 52 to like 10.
Betting wise, I might take Mississippi State to cover the 21.5 points right now because that's a lot of points, I think.
I don't know. State looked terrible on offense.
Yeah, well,
Nick Saban gonna have them boys ready to rock.
I would have thought about pulling the upset if Alabama would have won. They would still have been riding high, but they're going to be pissed off.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and they always get blown out.
Our upset picks this week, we've got Texas over Oklahoma State, LSU over Ole Miss. I don't remember. Wake Forest or Boston College over Wake Forest.
Other way around.
Boston College over Wake Forest, right? And Syracuse over Clemson. And those picks are brought to you by a righteous felon. LSU is going to act like a felon, and they're going to steal a win from Ole Miss this weekend. So if you head on over to righteousfelon.com, get your jerky fix, use code OCSN for 15% off. I didn't get some more. I actually got a text the other day. You haven't ordered it from us in a while. I've eaten all my jerky. I need to order some more. That stuff's really good. They got great flavors. I'm going to switch it up. I think getting on Wade, he's got to order that Carolina Ghost Reaper pepper. I want to see him try it. So maybe I'll buy it for him and send it his way. But thanks again to Righteous Felon for sponsoring our upset picks. And maybe we'll go 4-0 this week.
Hey, I think that the biggest one is Wade's. I think Clemson. I think
that Syracuse, changes the college football landscape.
That changes everything, and that would be crazy because
you know what's even crazier?
What?
If LSU beats Ole Miss, LSU's tied for first in the SEC West before the bye week, and then they play Bama.
And then they got Bama at home.
Which, if this is a major big
if they beat Ole Miss, they can beat Alabama.
If they beat Alabama, then they would be first in the SEC West. Crazy.
And then it's a recap or rematch against Tennessee. I could see it happening.
They still can't make the playoff. There's no possible way they have two.
No, we ain't gonna make the playoff. I don't care. If we
it's the first year of Brian.
You just want to be the Reaper that goes up in that meme all the time and just murders people and goes on to the next.
I mean, look,
I want to play Reaper of Sport.
Let's just say, I know, we've looked terrible at times, but we probably had our worst football team in forever, and we only lost by 7 points last year, and we had Max Johnson as our quarterback.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. So I think it's weird, but I think
if Daniels keeps playing like he does, I'm getting. I hate this. I'm getting false hope that we actually might have a chance against them.
Syracuse and Clemson is such a big one because of Schrader. I think it makes a huge difference, and I think he can sit on the Heisman list as well. I mean,
Syracuse's defense though will be able to hang around too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I like it. Let's switch gears here to the professional leagues, to the NFL. Got a headline. Matt Rule gone out of Carolina. Happened beginning of the week, which is probably good, honestly. They got to pay him a lot of money. And also now there's some trade talks with Mr. CMC. They're listening to some trades for some picks, some cash. some potential high-dollar players. So where do you think, Tyler, he gets traded to if he gets traded?
Yeah, I saw like a report that ESPN reported this. They had 2 teams that I believe that called in. I don't know who those 2 teams are, but Carolina rejected them. But I don't know what Carolina is really thinking. I guess like they just want to just fully rebuild for the next new head coach. But really, like the teams who need a running back, I don't know. I mean, the Seahawks obviously need a running back, especially like right now they have like Kenneth Walker, the rookie running back. But I mean, I have no idea. Definitely not anywhere in the division. The Panthers are not even trading him to anywhere in the division. I think he probably goes to an AFC team.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Baltimore. I think Baltimore needs to go ahead and do that deal because I mean, J.K. Dobbins ain't going to do much for them going forward.
It would be a very good pairing with Lamar, definitely, if they send him there.
So that's what I would say. I would say Ravens.
Okay, I like it. I mean, Fudge, I'm sorry you're going to have to put him on he's going to switch teams for your fantasy team, so you'll have to figure something out. If it happens. Do you think it happens before the end of the year, Fudge?
I think I can see it happening before the end of the year.
I mean, if they're trying so much, they're just going to
throw it all in. I mean, go all in. Who cares
if they're going to tank.
Yeah, might as well.
Tank for Tua.
I think that
tank for Bryce Young.
I think the best team on the list to pick him up, you're going to think I'm crazy for this one.
The Saints.
I think it's Cisco. I think it's the 49ers. 49ers need help at running back.
Yeah.
They've got good receivers, no running back. Deebo Samuel is playing running back.
Jeff Wilson got me 0.1 points today.
And we have lost our host.
I guess we have to continue.
So it's going to be just Tyler and I. But no, I think the 49ers are the best place for CMC. I just don't think Carolina was ever a good fit.
No,
for CMC.
I mean, they're not using him. They don't have the quarterback to use him with Baker Mayfield over there. He's throwing like a pick on literally every drive. So I think that if you're going to trade him, like you want to get like the best value. I get that. So if like the 49ers would probably have to give up, Jimmy G for him.
Yeah, but is CMC worth Jimmy G?
Yes.
I mean, if you're so confident on Trey Lance going forward, then why not?
That is true. I mean, the 49ers won't think they'd be really giving up anything. Well, speaking of 2 elite quarterbacks, we had the Bills and Kansas City face off today. And the Bills ended up getting the dub 24-20. I was expecting a much higher scoring game. But, I mean, did either of y'all watch that game?
I watched a little bit of it. I expected this to be like last year's AFC divisional game going just back and forth, but the defenses showed up. Both defenses forced a turnover. Patrick Mahomes had an interception. I mean, Travis Kelce, didn't have 4 touchdowns like he did.
That would have been nice for my fantasy
against the Raiders. Stephon Diggs had another big game. So Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs connection continues to flourish this season.
Yeah, Futch, you were up big in our fantasy league. And then Josh Allen and
you talk the talk before you walk the walk.
Yeah. You were talking smack to us about, Mikey, you're going to take that L this week. And then all of a sudden, Josh Allen decides to show up and play.
You must have heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, how much time was actually left in that game when it happened?
I mean, it was a lot of half. It wasn't even before. It was before the half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the crazy part. I mean, I'm only projected to lose by less than 6 points because I have 2 guys playing currently, and I still have Justin Herbert left to play. I just don't
Herbert
think
could go.
You're still in it then. Herbert versus the Broncos. Yeah.
And I've got Devontae Smith still playing right now. He's got 4 receptions for 37 yards. I got Michael Parsons.
He catches a touchdown.
You're good. As long as he gets a touchdown for Herbert goes, then that's a win.
Yeah, I'm down 140 to 110 currently.
I think you can make 30 points up.
I think Herbert's in for like a 25-point game at least.
Yeah.
So that's still short, Tyler.
Well, if Devontae Smith gets you a touchdown, then it won't matter.
True.
This game had big implications because it's probably going to be where they have the AFC, whoever gets home field advantage in the AFC between the Bills and the Chiefs.
Jets are winning the AFC champion.
Oh, well, speaking of the Jets, they did take down the Packers today. The Packers have looked like dog poo-poo. And Zach Wilson got that dog in
One more time.
They look like dog poo-poo. I mean, and Zach Wilson's out here with the dog in him, running around.
They had a lot of quarterbacks that look like.
Yeah, he really got that dog in him, on and off.
I tell you what, who doesn't have that dog in him? Kyler Murray still. You know what's going to be even worse? He's going to just wait till the new Call of Duty comes out. That man is just not going to see the field. He's just going to grow out his fro more and play Call of Duty till he gets his KD up above 1.
Yeah, so you hear that, fantasy players? Don't start Kyler Murray like me.
I think they need to put
I think I have the 2 worst quarterback combos. I have Tom Brady and Kyler Murray.
Well, speaking of Tom Brady,
nothing.
He's getting a divorce from his wife and leaving his kids to get beat by Kenny
Pickett in the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, that is just – he was going unglued on the sidelines today. I don't know if that was the offensive line group or his wife.
It was.
Oh, well, then they're not going to block you now, Tom. I mean –
it wasn't even halftime yet. Yeah, so I think they need to, Tyler. I think the best thing that Arizona can do is go out and get one of those.
Play the Saints next week.
No, they need to go out and get one of those little tiny Fisher Price cars that have, the hole cut out in the bottom that you can run on, that you can use your feet and pedal it. I think you need to go get one of those, put Kyler Murray in it, and send him out of the state of Arizona because he is currently causing that state to plummet.
Well,
or they just need to go take his PlayStation or Xbox, whatever he uses, and just ban him from ever playing the new Call of Duty. So yeah, Jets pull off an upset, Steelers pull off an upset, the Saints lose in heartbreaking fashion to the loyal Louisiana Kings, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase,
who wore Joe Burrow.
That was cool. The game-worn jersey.
Should have known that he was going to go off for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards when he wore that jersey.
Fudge. So what happened? You were supposed to be there. We were supposed to get some great content.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to cover somebody else who's out for some medical stuff. So I had
slinging wood at Home Depot. Do what you got to do.
I spent more time on the phone today having to deal with problems than anything.
Well, hey, I got a problem for you. My microwave went out, and I had to order a new one from Home Depot, and it was supposed to be here today. And now it's saying next week. What's up with that, Fudge?
You know what?
Some of these supply chain problems at Home Depot.
You know what? I had the same issue today. I had some lady scream at me on the phone today.
Well, I'm not going to scream at you just yet, but if it doesn't get you next week, you know how hard it is to not have a microwave? I was like, oh, it's no biggie. We'll put stuff in the oven, air fryer, skillet. It's such an inconvenience to have to use your other utilities.
Inconvenience.
What do we do without microwave?
Inconvenience.
Yeah, so
you should do sorry for inconvenience.
I mean, you don't realize how much you use your microwave.
I use it every day.
I realized it was time to replace it
breakfast, lunch, dinner,
and a little explosion happened inside.
Oh,
wow! Well, let's see if it happens again. So I did it again. Same thing.
Yeah, especially if you try and put fish, to heat up fish in the microwave. It sounds like a World War II is going on in your microwave. It's like.
So you basically broke your microwave because of.
Well, it's 7 years old.
For a science experiment?
No, I was trying to heat up food, and it's like the magnet that creates the radiation. It's called like the magnetron in the right side of the microwave. Just starts like pop, 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 like sparking up.
Jeez.
So yeah, we had to buy a new microwave.
Oh my.
Nice, but I think you're like I feel like it's one of those things where it's like when your mom goes in some place and says don't touch, and it was one of those. You just not touch it.
Yeah,
left it.
Well, I wanted to see if it was gonna blow up or not.
See, he wanted it to blow up at this point,
but it didn't, and I have a new one on order. Speaking of microwave, Cooper Rush must be in a microwave. He's thrown 2 interceptions. Not great. So
the only 2 interceptions he's thrown all year.
That's true. Eagles are up 20-10, looking like they will remain unbeaten in the third quarter. Our microwave talk is actually brought to you by horsebeards.com. If you want your beard looking like this and not like Futch's since he's shaved, it's growing back. You can head on over to norsebeards.com, enter promo code OCS for 25% off all your beardsman needs.
He must have known that they were going to lose if he shaved a week prior to that game.
Yeah, I had a
early. And hey, we got hockey season kicking off, so those hockey players rock great beards. You can head on over to Norse Beards, get what you need. Speaking of hockey season, we're in a fantasy hockey league. Sports Scramble has been added to.
Who we even have on our team? Like any big names?
I don't know. We got offered a trade actually.
Oh,
right here. We'll look at this trade live on air.
Live.
Yes, yes.
So
they're listening to us.
Let's see.
They're like, please take it.
I'm trying to pull up. They have proposed to trade. Who is this guy? Darcy Cooper. He scores an average of negative 0.4 points.
Nope.
They want Hus Zaros, who plays for the Nashville Predators. He scores an average of 0.1 points. Well, you know what? I like our guy better. So
wait. Those are goalies.
They are goalies.
Why do we have the Nashville Predators?
So they want Timper for Staros?
Pretty much. What do you think, Fletch? Should we do it?
Who's Kemper playing for?
He plays for the Washington Capitals. He made 21 saves.
We haven't given him goals left.
Who's Saros play for? He plays for Nashville?
Yeah.
Nah, we're keeping him.
He allowed 4 goals.
Yeah, but he's better than Kemper.
Okay, well, guess what?
Capitals have just been giving up goals left and right. It's pretty much like
the Capitals are throwing the towel in just for Ovechkin to get goal milestones. That's it.
So, I mean, I don't even know who half these people are, but
read them off for us.
We've got Shetzkerkin and Saros as our goalie. New York Rangers goalie and Nashville's goalie.
Oh.
There's like 20 people in our lineup. I'm not reading
good. We got the Rangers.
Hey, we've got Sidney Crosby.
Hey, my boy. There we go. As long as we got him, then we're good.
Let's see here.
Why didn't we draft this?
I don't know. So what happened was somebody
why
else.
were we in the?
Well, no, somebody else drafted, and then they backed out of the league. So Jesse called me and was like, "Hey, you want to join it?" I was like, "Sure." I don't know nothing about hockey, but yeah, we'll run it. I think I can add y'all as like team managers, so I'll get y'all added on that after the show. But yeah, so hockey kicked off this week or last week. So make sure you tune into all of our network shows. They do some fun hockey stuff. All right. We've been going live for an hour and a half. One last thing. NASCAR Neil, baby. Playoff races.
Yes.
So we had Joey Logano gets the win at Vegas today, being the first driver to lock himself into the championship 4. He said it was a race full of battles. Some drama occurred during the middle of the race where Bubba Wallace intentionally wrecked Kyle Larson for an earlier incident. And Kyle Larson got out of his car and chased Bubba Wallace around the track. That didn't actually happen. I just made that up. But it would have been pretty cool to see.
He did like a Talladega night.
Yeah, he did wreck him apparently. And last week's winner, Christopher Bell, got messed up in the wreck and is forced to go behind the wall. Whatever that's NASCAR terms. So I don't think he raced good this week. And he said, a little fun fact: historically, the winner of the Vegas wins the championship. But he told me he doesn't think Joey Logano is going to win it all. He's still going with Chase Elliott. He's got money on Elliott. He says everybody else should book it with Elliott because he's taking the ship home. That's the show, boys and girls. Yeah, that was a fun little NASCAR Neil segment. It was a fun show. It's a long one. We talked a lot about college football, a little bit of playoffs, some NFL. And of course, we got back into our golf talk, which needs to be a staple in the future. You're watching Sports Scramble Sunday nights, every Sunday night usually. Tomorrow at 3:00, you got college football coast to coast with Tyler and Futch. Well, on my screen, Tyler and Futch down there. And then Tuesday nights, you got Tyler and Wade coming at you for SEC talk. Boys, is there anything else I missed? Last call.
No.
All right, crickets. We got a special episode coming out, shooting for Wednesday, with former Mississippi State catcher Logan Tanner, who now plays for the Cincinnati Reds organization. So make sure y'all tune into that. It was a very fun conversation we had with him. Broke into his golf fandom, what his tattoos mean. Spoiler alert, they don't mean anything. He just likes them. So that was a fun conversation. But yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We hope you have a great rest of your week. See ya.